And welcome, Finger Lakes basketball fans, to another edition of the Upstate Hoops podcast on FingerLakes1.tv. It's January 30th, 2014. This is our 10th episode of the season, and we're coming at you live from the FingerLakes1.com studios in downtown Seneca Falls, New York. I'm Jim Sinacropi alongside my co-host Matt Verke.
What's up, Jim?
Welcome back, Verk. After a week off and a little vacation in Lake Placid, it's back to normal.
Yeah.
Just in time for the stretch run here in the regular season. So we'll be talking Wayne Finger Lakes High School basketball for the next 30 minutes. The Upstate Hoops podcast is brought to you by Generations Bank, generations of service for over 140 years. Visit them online at mygenbank.com. And also by Red's Place, serving great lunches daily in downtown Seneca Falls. Come down and watch all the big games on one of their 10 flat-screen TVs. And check them out online at men'shalloffame.com. And Seneca Meadows Landfill, responsible waste management for the next generation. See how they do it by watching their videos at senecameadows.com. So, last time we were in studio, Verk, it was Tuesday. Dandy Dave Barnick and KK, Kevin Korzaneski, sitting in, previewing the Clyde Lions game, or the Lions at Clyde. Now, you called that game with Dave Barnick, exciting atmosphere last Wednesday night, and Clyde looked as good as they looked all season. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, they played well. Obviously came out with a 72-58 victory and pretty much controlled that game from start to finish. Lions they're down a player there with the injury, Farah. But, it seems like every time I've seen Clyde, and we've done 3 other games this year, 2 Miners games and then this Lions game, they've gotten better each game. They kind of struggled with Miners the first time, blew them out the second time, and then went on to blow out a very good Lions team. And, they have all the pieces, and I think, a big key last Wednesday was Joe Faniel. 22 points, and we talked about a lot during that webcast that when he plays like that and he gives them that scoring, besides Bogans and DeSano, they're just that much tougher, obviously, and just real impressed with the whole team from Michael Turner to Doug. They all play a great role, and they seem to have it all going on right now.
Faniel plays like that, he's the best point guard in the Wayne Finger Lakes, maybe.
Yeah, when he's knocking down, we talked about the first time, a couple times we saw him play, when he gets that 18, 17-footer, he's such a good athlete. He really, really elevates on his jump shot. And you're not going to block it. It's just a matter if he's going to make it or not. And, watching him in warm-ups, Clyde's impressive. They got 4 or 5 guys who can easily dunk the ball, and Bogans had 3 dunks in that game, and DeSano played well. They're well rounded. I think the one thing that might hurt them down the road might be their bench a little bit. They're not a whole lot coming off the bench, but they're for a small school, I think they're as good as anybody right now in Section 5.
And Michael Turner, is incredible to watch. He's so active. He's everywhere. 4 block shots, 7 rebounds, 12 points. A lot of them on putbacks. He seems to be a little more under control than the first time we saw him. We saw him opening night against Minders. They won that game, and I just think since then Turner's a little more under control, especially on the putbacks, and more effective. It's
his first year on varsity, and obviously as the year goes on, he's getting more comfortable, and he's finishing better. I think he's knocking down free throws at a little better rate than he was early on when we saw him, and he's kind of the unsung hero on that team.
So that game virtually puts Clyde in definitely in the driver's seat in Wayne County.
They clinched it. They got a 3-game lead on everybody, and I think a 3-game lead with 4 to go. And I think
having playing Lions twice.
Yeah,
they played Gananda twice.
They beat ER twice already too, I believe. Yeah. So
North Rose Wolcott, I think,
they got North Rose again. North Rose could give them a game, but I think. I see them being undefeated heading into the sectionals.
Yeah, I gotta agree. So that was last Wednesday night. Wanted to talk about that game before we got into this week's results. So starting out on Friday night, team in action that we're going to see on Friday night of this week against Newark on Finger Lakes One Sports, 7:30. Geneva, all over Wayne, 58-39. Ray Sims had 17. Akia Jackson had 14. That dropped Wayne to 11-3 and pretty much eliminated any chance of they had for contending for a Finger Lakes East title. So they'll be playing a spoiler role at Newark, and Geneva will be a big Wayne fan on Friday night.
Yeah, I haven't got a chance to see Wayne play, so looking forward to catching that. I'm not doing the game tomorrow night, but Wayne Newark, should be a good matchup. Newark kind of struggled the other night, and we'll get to that a little bit more. But Wayne's a capable team. They're 11-3.
And Hollenbeck 6-7.
Right, and their 3 losses are to Newark once and Geneva twice, and they beat everybody else they played. So obviously a very capable team.
And then speaking of Newark and their struggles last week, they beat Midlake 60-58, which is really just shocking because they just come off a win over Geneva. They're tied for first with Geneva, and then they go and beat a Newark team or a Midlakes team that's 2-11 by 2 points.
Yeah, I know. We were checking that game out up in Lake Placid, and we were kind of surprised to see that score. And looking into it a little further, it doesn't look like Micah Wright played.
Yeah, that makes a big difference.
But I didn't think it would make that big of a difference. I
Yeah.
still, obviously, give Midlakes a lot of credit. They came out and played Newark tough on their home court at Midlakes.
Yep.
And it was a game. Midlakes was down, Midlakes that was down made a late run, but obviously gave Newark a pretty big scare there.
Tyler Collins had 16 for Newark. Jamie Rosser had 18. Ron Derrick Morris had 9. 18 for Mason Jones and 14 for Jacob Kemp for Midlakes. Big win for Waterloo. The team's getting hot now.
Yeah,
second straight win.
They had beaten Midlakes and come back with a nice win over a pretty good Penny Ann team that's been scrappy this year. They've kind of been struggling a little bit after kind of a hot start, but Waterloo's coming around. They're getting better.
64-54. Ben Covert led the Mustangs with 23, and for Waterloo it was Jonathan Jones with 16, who he actually seems to be playing a little bit bigger role now in these last 2 Waterloo victories.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, we saw Ben Deming. We were pretty impressed with him when we saw him, a big guy. He was only a sophomore in the middle, and Waterloo's very young, a lot of sophomores. So, hopefully they can get a couple more wins here this year and build off of that going into next year.
We got Bloomfield in the West, 51 over Red Jacket 25. Dundee 63, HAC 27. So Dundee keeping pace with Bloomfield. Bloomfield won that first matchup, so we're waiting for the rematch. And then we got Naples at home defeating Honeoye 63-35, and then South Seneca 52, Romulus 31 is in the West on Friday night. Lincoln Low 17 points for South Seneca, who moves to 3-10. Romulus falls to 0-14. Tim Mastelar had 11 for the Warriors. East Rochester beats Red Creek 52-46. Clyde Savannah 63, Gananda 49. And in that game, Clam DeSanto 25 points and 14 rebounds. Michael Turner 16 rebounds. Joe Faniel 16 points. And Gananda's a tough team in Wayne County.
Yeah, and not a total blowout here, 14-point game, and some of these teams that we talked about here in Wayne County, the Ganandas, ERs have played pretty well. Northwest Wolcott, and they've given Lions and Clyde fits all year. Yeah. ER had beaten Lions, and Lions came out, I think, in an overtime win maybe over North Rose, or one of the Gananda overtime. One of those schools took Lions to overtime. So it's a pretty balanced league this year outside of Sodas and Williamson. All the other teams in Marion. Yeah, obviously the bottom league's a little down.
Soda's not bad either. I mean they're towards the bottom of that middle tier, but yeah, the Wayne County's pretty tough from the middle on up this year. So Cam DeSanto, as I mentioned, 25 points, 14 rebounds. Back on Wednesday night, he scored his 1,000th point, and I wish we knew that during the broadcast. They didn't stop the game or anything.
Yeah, no, it was weird that they didn't make an announcement. I don't know if maybe you don't stop the game, but at least acknowledge it at some point, that he scored his 1,000th point. Kind of weird. And, I thought maybe we'd been tipped off to that fact, but never came to our attention.
Yeah, apparently he did it late in the game. 1,000 points, so definitely congratulations, Cam DeSanto.
Maybe they just thought it wasn't that big a deal. They had Terry Brown coming in who had like 2,600 points or something. So
it was a bad weekend for Cam to score thousands. Lions topped Williamson 66-52. DJ Long had 17. TJ Smith 15. Zach Wonder with 12 and Damon Hunter with 10. Williamson was led by Josh McIntosh with 15. North Rose Wolcott 60. Sodas 41. Tyler Norris had 19.6 assists. Chris Dean only 11. Quiet night for him. Sodas was led by Zachary Wilczynski with 12 and Ignacio Ruiz with 11. Then another score that kind of shocked us a little bit when we were up in Lake Placid. Verk Palmac 66, Minders 48. And this is a little easier to take seeing that Minders came back and won the next night against Lions, but this was kind of a bottoming out type of loss.
Yeah, in some ways, we webcast the first Minders Palmac game at Minders, and that was I think it was a tie game in the fourth quarter, and Minders pulled away in that one, and so not shocking, I guess. Not I'm kind of shocked at the point differential,
right.
18 points, given the fact how Minders, I didn't think that Palmac's 18 points better than Minders, no matter where they play.
Yeah.
But I am surprised at that. But like you just said, Minders was able to bounce back with a big win the next night.
Luke Ruddy had 20 for Palmac. It was Holden Knorr with 20 points and 8 rebounds. Noah West with 13. That win brought Palmac up to 4-10. And then Minders didn't have to dwell on that loss too long, Vert, because on Saturday night, they visited Lions, which you know how I feel about these geographical rivalries that we don't get to see a lot. Lions beats Minders the first time out over Christmas break in Seneca Falls. Now, Minders travels to the Atwood Gymnasium and wins by 6. Led by 40 points by Luke Ruddy.
Yeah, obviously, I watched the first Minders-Lions game on the webcast, and Luke had a good game that night too, but he missed he left a couple out there. I think he had he went for 27 I think in the first game, but he left a few out there.
Didn't leave none out there on Saturday.
Yeah, in this game he seemed like he obviously had a huge night, but he's a 4-year varsity player, and nice to see Luke have that success. He's and maybe this will be the thing that will get Minders going, and it was a game that, Jason Anderson wasn't able to play in, and, Minders was still able to get a win without their point guard.
And, what I hear, too, is Brett Anderson, freshman backup point guard, he only had 6 points in the game, but I heard he was giving Damon Hunter fits.
Oh, yeah?
To the point where Hunter was getting frustrated and didn't even play at the end of the game in the fourth quarter. I heard that
he had 8 assists. I think I read in the paper also. Brett did.
Wow, yeah. Well, I got probably a few of them to Ruddy. 40 points, 10 of 14 free throws, 16 rebounds too for Ruddy. So I was really happy to see him have a big game like that.
And that's Lions isn't big. It's not a secret. They're their tallest player might be 6'1", 6'2", and DJ Long, and Ruddy had his way obviously.
And the two teams split on the season, which seems reasonable.
Sure.
I think they're both solid.
Minders obviously plays a lot tougher schedule.
Yeah.
If you look at their records, obviously, Lions 9-4, Minders 5-8, but throw Lions in the East, I think Geneva, Newark, Wayne, they'd struggle with them as well.
And then on Saturday, Greece Odyssey topped Waterloo out of the league 59-54. David James Darling had 14 and Jonathan Jones had 15 for the Indians in that one. And how about this, Verk? Mid-Lakes hosts Marcus Whitman, a former Finger Lakes East team, now playing in the West and having a great season. They were 9-3 entering this game. And Mid-Lakes wins easy, 74-51.
Yeah, a little surprising again at the margin. Not shocked that Mid-Lakes would beat Marcus Whitman. It's a Whitman team that's 9-4 with their other 3 losses coming to Dundee and Bloomfield. So it just made it's tough to judge that West. I think it's Dundee and Bloomfield, and then the rest of the league.
And then all of a sudden, Mid-Lakes is playing great. They almost beat the Newark, even though they didn't have Wright.
Yeah,
and then they
It was after a loss to Waterloo, and Mid-Lakes lose to Waterloo, and then they come back and almost beat Newark, and then they thump Marcus Whitman. So
it's crazy, and I tell you, it makes me kind of excited for sectionals cut just around the corner because it seems like almost anything could happen. There might be a few surprises.
Just looking at one of the brackets here in Class C2, right now in the semis, would be Clyde Lions. Right now, Clyde's a 1,
Wow.
Lions is a 4. So they'd each actually only have to win. Let's see here. Lions. Yeah, they'd only have to win one game to play each other. So
Man, that would be something. And that would be the semis at the Blue Cross.
1 versus 4. Actually, that would be the semis. Yep.
Wow.
Which wouldn't be at the Blue Cross. It'd probably be in Waterloo.
Oh yeah, that's right. Wow, hey, maybe some potential for a webcast. I've got 4 teams in action tonight. Bloomfield's at Naples, Honeoy's at HAC, Whitman's at Romulus, and Red Jackets at Dundee. We're going to step aside, take a 60-second break. We'll come back with our Wayne Finger Lakes Players of the Week, our top 10 power rankings, a quick look at the week ahead right after this.
We hold on to the things that really matter. Welcome to Generations Bank.
Hi, I'm Jody Torrio. If you're like me, you've got stuff lying around the house that you want to recycle, but you're just not sure how, like broken toasters, vacuum cleaners, or microwaves. At Seneca Meadows, we have a drop-off for those. Bring in anything with a cord, and we'll make sure it's recycled properly through our partnership with 2TRG. It's that easy.
Oh, yeah. You're listening to the Upstate Hoops podcast on FingerLakes1.tv. Jim Sinacropi in studio alongside my co-host Matt Verkey. And it's time of the show, Verk, where we recognize a player from the Wayne Finger Lakes who had an outstanding week. It's our Players of the Week, and of course they win a FingerLakes1.com t-shirt. Just got to email us at upstatehoops@fingerlakes1.com with your t-shirt size and mailing address, and we'll send it right out. Got an email from Tyler Collins last week, Verk. He wanted his t-shirt. I'm going to bring it and deliver it to him personally on Friday night when we got the team up there in Newark.
Perfect.
So this week, I'm going back to a guy who we've given this award to before multiple times. But I was so impressed with Clyde, and I love recognizing someone for this award and when they have a milestone like DeSanto had the other night of 1,000 points. So he had 20 points, I think, versus Lions. He had 25 points, 14 rebounds versus Williamson, scores 1,000th point. So I'm going with Cam DeSanto, who has probably now have a T-shirt for every weekday.
He's got quite a few, I know that.
He's earned them. 1,000 points, congrats.
I'm going to go with Luke Ruddy. You know, how can you leave him off? 40-point game, big win over Lions, and hopefully that gets Miners on a roll here and gets Luke rolling. And, they get they got Penny on tomorrow night, so hopefully they get on a little roll here. Being the Miners graduate, I always pull for the Blue Devils a little bit. So congratulations, Luke.
Yep, 40 points, 16 rebounds. Wow. That's might be one of the best individual statistical performances of the year.
Yeah.
So, again, guys, upstatehoops at fingerlakes1.com with your T-shirt size and mailing address. Luke's got himself a T-shirt or two, I think. So, a couple familiar names this week. So now, Verk, time for the Wayne Finger Lakes Power Rankings. We've expanded to 10, but you weren't here last week. So I'm really excited to find out, how you have them 1 to 10. And I'm glad that we're doing top 10 because I think there's enough quality teams in the Wayne Finger Lakes where we can put together a nice top 10. And so let's run through it together from 10 to 1. Now, I dropped Marcus Whitman out after that loss to Mid Lakes, and at number 10, making a debut in my top 10 power rankings is North Rose Woolkit at 10 and 3, Chris Dean and company. So I got them at 10, Verk. I don't know who you got.
I got North Rose at 10.
So we're on the same page there. Moving ahead to 9, I got Minders, 5 and 9. But you mentioned the league they play in, and if you're looking at the top 10 teams in the Wayne Finger Lakes, I think that's right about where they're fitting in right now.
I got Lions at 9.
Even though Minders just Minders just beat them, because now moving ahead to 8, I got Lions. I kept Lions ahead of Minders, even though that they lost. The Nick Fair injury is kind of disappointing, I guess, and so I'm kind of giving them the nod there. They split on the season.
Yeah.
So I got Lions at 8. Who you got at 8?
ER.
who's in the same class as Minders. Now I got ER at 7, so I'm assuming now you got Minders at 7.
Yes.
Okay. And
Interesting with Miners, just looking at their bracket here. Right now they're a 5 seed at 5 and 9 in their class. There's only 3 teams with a winning record. Bloomfield's 11 and 2, ER 10 and 3, and who's the 3 seed? 3 seed is not listed.
So maybe they're
1, 2,
get a bump up.
8, 9. I don't know. Anyway, Minders is the 5 right now. They'd open up with Warsaw, who's 0-14.
Yep.
So you figure they're going to beat Warsaw. Then they would have to play.
Figured that 2 years ago too.
Yeah, well,
you never know, but yeah, you got to figure.
And then
that's
they
a
would
nice
have to
draw.
play the winner. They would play Avon or Sodas. Sodas is 5 and 9. I think we beat Sodas. Avon 7 and 7. I like our chances. We've beaten Avon up a few times over the past couple of years in Class C. So, even though our record's down a little bit, I still like our chances. Then that would put us in the semis, most likely against Bloomfield, who's 11 and 2. But it's tough to judge that West right now. So, Miners got a chance to go to that final. ER is the 2 seed on the other side.
Yeah. So be some hotly contested games there. Moving ahead to 6, I got Wayne at 6. Hollenbeck, Austin Lamora, and company. Sitting at 11 and 3 in the East this late in the season. I got him at 6. I don't know who's your 6.
I got Dundee at 6.
13 and 1. Les Miller Scots. I got Dundee at 5. So we're pretty much on the same page here.
I got Bloomfield 5.
See, I got Bloomfield 4. Just the fact that they're top dog in the West, and I haven't seen enough Wayne. This might change after Friday night when I get a look at Wayne. So I go 6 Wayne, 5 Dundee, 4 Bloomfield. You go 6 Dundee, 5 Bloomfield, 4 Wayne. Is that right?
Yes.
So then we got the big 3, and this was tough. Newark and Geneva are tied, right? Newark just beat Geneva in Geneva, even though they struggled with Mid-Lakes, and I don't know the story on why Michael Wright didn't play or if he's planning on playing Friday night. We'll find out, I suppose. But I got Geneva 3 and Newark 2, and I got Clyde 1. And the question is always, well, geez, if Clyde played Newark or Clyde played Geneva. I think if Clyde played the way that they did against Lions, and the fact that Tucker and Faneuil are so much better than they were earlier in the season. The team's coming together. I never talk about Jason Doig, but he fills an important role on that team. And I think that right now Clyde would be a tall task for Newark or Geneva to face.
Yeah, and if I was a betting man, I think I'd take Geneva or Newark over Clyde. But I haven't seen a whole lot of Geneva this year, and I not by a big margin, but I think it'd be a good game to see. Too bad it'll never happen. But
yeah.
So I went Newark 3, Geneva 2, Clyde 1.
Okay, so we kind of flip-flopped there. Oh, you got Clyde 1 too, so wow,
Yeah.
yeah, okay. So it's unanimous at number 1. I guess at this point, 14 and 0.
Tough to argue against that.
It's certainly deserved. So let's take a quick look at the week ahead. Coming up tomorrow night, Gananda at East Rochester in Wayne County. Pal Mac at Mid-Lakes. Penn Yan at Minders. Big game for Minders, and actually Penn Yan, who had such a promising start to the season, has got to break this slide.
Mm-hmm.
And, it would be nice to see Minders follow up that Lions win with another win and move closer to 500. On the other hand, big game for Penn Yan on the road. They need to do something to stop the bleeding. And then you got Waterloo at Geneva. And then, of course, the game on Finger Lakes One Sports at 7:30 p.m. Friday night. Wayne at Newark. And what do you think about that game, Verk? You think we're going to see a close game?
I'll say Newark by 8, 9, depending on if Micah Wright plays.
Yeah, I suppose that would be a big if. So, but again, not having any idea why he didn't play the first night. We're expecting to see him. Saturday night, Clyde Savannah at Red Creek. Possible, don't want to call it a trap game, but I guess, for Clyde, they're going on the road. We know Red Creek has a player in Jacob Slobe that can, single-handedly keep this game close until the end. And we've also seen Clyde against teams that we thought they might beat by 15 or 20, win by 4.
Yeah, the first, Red Creek gave him a good game at Clyde. So, I definitely don't sleep on Red Creek.
And now Clyde at Red Creek, so we'll keep an eye on that one. Saturday night, Marion's at Lyons, Williamson at North Rose Wolcott, and South Seneca at Dundee. Monday night, North Rose Wolcott's traveling to Weedsport out of Section 3. They're going to play Weedsport. And then next Tuesday night, you got Geneva at Penn Yan, got Mid Lakes at Wayne, and then Miners Newark, which is it's always a great game. And it's another potential spot where Newark could fall. And I suppose Geneva potentially could get upset by Penn Yan.
Yeah, and last year Miners went up to Newark on Newark senior night and really gave them a pretty good beat. And so, I know Newark was able to beat them this time and break a 6-game losing streak, the Miners. But, Miners was capable of beating them. They gave them a good game at home, so you never know.
And, Ruddy's playing good. Yeah, that's true. Sometimes we think some of these games are, pencil in Newark and Geneva to be tied for first, but Newark hosting Wayne and hosting Miners back-to-back this week. Pelmac travels to Waterloo. Clyde Savannah then plays at Sodus on Tuesday night, and Marion at East Rochester, and then Red Creek at Lyons. Lyons kind of in the same boat, wanting to get that win against a tough team that they gave them fits the first time around.
Yeah, we talked about Red Creek earlier. Another game that Red Creek played Lions tough. They just they got to get over the hump against some of the upper echelon teams in Wayne County and beat one of them.
And then rounding out Tuesday night slate, Williamson at Gananda. Then we got Wednesday night, Dundee at Marcus Whitman. Pretty big game for the Scots if they want to keep their chances at splitting that.
Yeah, they got to win that game, obviously, and set up the big rematch with Bloomfield.
And then Marcus Whitman, hoping to get back on the winning track. HAC at Red Jacket, Romulus at Bloomfield. And then South Seneca at Honeoye, which is a game that South Seneca should win, right?
I would think.
So
they beat them the first time.
So full slate of games. We're coming right down to it. This is what the exciting part when some of these sectional brackets start to take place.
Yeah, you look at right now in Class A, the 1, 2, and 3, Geneva, Newark, Wayne. And, Geneva right now is just percentage points ahead of Newark. They're both 12-2. Geneva has some wins over bigger schools. But tomorrow night, Newark plays Wayne, a bigger school, so they could gain some points. They could gain some sectional points on Geneva. So if I don't know how it all turned out if they both win out, which they both have a good chance of doing. So it'd be interesting to see how the average sectional points falls into place there.
So that about wraps it up for this week's edition of the Upstate Hoops podcast. For our live viewers, we'll be back online live at 10 p.m. Eastern for the Upstate Orange podcast, where we'll talk about the 20-0 Syracuse Orange and preview the big Duke game on Saturday night. So thanks for joining us. For my co-host Matt Verkey and our producer Jeremy Hunt, I'm Jim Sinacropi. See you next Thursday night.